Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Barely Bookish podcast. Today, we're going to be continuing on with Rebecca, and I will be joined by the co hosts of the Best Book Club podcast, Jen and Shanna. But if you haven't listened to the previous two episodes, or 3 episodes actually, please be sure to go back and listen to those before tuning into this episode, just so, things stay chronological and you don't get spoilers, I guess. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun one. I have even more theories, which I feel like at this point you all are not surprised. But without further ado, let's get into the episode. So, chapter 11, it right away throws us in with even more main character anxiety, and she's like freaking out over this boathouse. Like, she cannot let the idea of this boathouse go. And why? I don't know. But I think she should burn it.
It definitely had some haunted vibes to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was super spooky.
The
I love
fact
how
that it was
everything,
unlocked.
yeah, everything was just covered in mold.
Mm-hmm. Well, because you're like right by the water. So
Yeah.
that makes sense. Also, like, how close to the water is this boathouse?
So the way I picture it is like a little bay or
Mm-hmm.
like a little, I don't know, pond.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably wrong, but like a little circle pond with a buoy in the middle and then like a path that goes to the ocean,
Mm-hmm.
like where the boat would come in and then dock and then
Yeah.
goes back out. So maybe that's not what it's like, but for me, it's like a little pond with a little house on the side and the ocean is separate.
I imagine it as like a little inlet. Like, same thing, but like instead of like the pond ending, it just continued to the ocean past it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was kind of thinking.
Okay.
But I don't know. I just don't understand this boathouse and how everything got moldy in a year. Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, it's been completely untouched.
Yeah, but like, how'd the
In
water get in? Like, if you're an avid reader, if you noticed, because she had to be using this boathouse continuously, if you started noticing that your books were getting moldy, you wouldn't keep books in there.
wasn't there a broken window?
Oh, you're right. There's the roof. The roof is leaking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. How's the roof leaked in a year? I don't know. I don't understand this boathouse.
Yeah, it seems to be not doing well
Yeah.
for just 1 year.
We probably won't go there again, so don't worry about it.
Burned.
Uh.
Burned. Yeah, I don't know. This boathouse gives me bad vibes. Like, it feels like it was cursed to accelerate in its decay.
Mm.
So, Maxim has started walking alone because, being 2 months into your relationship, there's nothing healthier than wanting to be separated. And so he just like doesn't see her as much on a normal day, which is wonderful. Love that for them. And so our main character has started like turning even more inward so that she doesn't upset Maxim because she feels like everything she says sets him off, which it kind of does. It kind of does.
It does.
Yeah. He's moody.
Yeah. 100%. So she's also starting to have to make house calls to the neighbors, which is the worst because he doesn't go with her.
Yeah, that's like actually my worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Sometimes getting out of the car, my neighbors will be like, "Hey, how are the kids?" And I'm like, "Oh, Christ, please no."
Yeah, get back in the car.
I've sat in the car with my kids for 5 minutes until the chatty one left.
Oh, yeah.
No, thank you.
This is my favorite part about living in an apartment complex now. Because like when I lived in the suburbs with my parents, every time I got out of the house, like got out of the car, your neighbors talk to you. And like it's not always a bother. Like I like my neighbors. But it's kind of nice just being able to like walk in. I don't know a single one of my neighbors. Never met any of them. I know one of them's got a Dalmatian. That's all I know.
Oh, we've got Beer Guy. We've got Brenda. Her name is not Brenda. We have Old Guy. I don't know any of these people's names, but they all have like their characters to us.
Yeah, my friend, I went and visited her apartment, and she has what I like to call a spy window, like in her kitchen that you can't see in, but she can see out. And so, because it's like too dark, because it's under like an overhang, and also it's just like tinted. So she can see everything that's going on, and like was like talking about her neighbors, and I was like, I love this. I don't have a spy window. Okay, like I have this big double sliding door that I keep closed at all times because I'm facing the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know a single one of my neighbors, but I've also only been here 3 weeks, so that may change.
Yeah, you'll start being like, oh, damn it, same guy
Dalmatian
that I see.
guy.
Yeah, I see him every time, and now I have to say hi to him.
So our main character brings up Rebecca at the bishop's wife's house for no reason. And then she gets her feelings hurt immediately. I don't know why she did this to herself.
She's got to find out somehow. And apparently this is the only way.
Yeah. Yeah, she's just going to keep bringing up Rebecca until someone tells her what happened. So as soon as she leaves and she comes home, she's like, I never want to do that again. I'm never going to call on people. I don't care what they say about me. I know they're already talking about me. And like sends herself into this like spiral. And I just keep feeling bad for her. And then she decides that she's never returning the calls. And she just makes up her mind on that as she's driving all the way home, like by a chauffeur, which, what a mood. I wish I would.
I'm never doing this again.
Yeah. Dramatically looking out the window as like Coldplay plays in the background. So she, on the drive, sees Frank walking up the driveway, and she decides to just force her presence upon him and is like, hey, stop the car. I'm going to get out and walk. And I didn't realize they were on the driveway when she said that. And I was like, how does she even know where Frank's going? You know? Like, what if Frank was going home? And he's like, oh, I guess I'll come to Manderley today.
Well, what other purpose does he have, really?
Yeah. Groceries, not for Frank.
No.
All he needs is Manderley to survive.
But also, why is he on the driveway? Why wouldn't he just drive to the house?
Does he not have a car?
Yeah, where's he walking from?
What does he do? Because obviously, I don't understand.
Does he live on the property as well? Like, what?
How many people live? I mean, I guess it's a giant house with wings. So, like, I bet half the town lives on the property. He probably doesn't. I can almost bet Maxim does not know every single person that lives in his house.
Yeah, probably not.
Ben might even live in his house. He wouldn't know.
Ben lives on the property, but not in the house.
He could.
Because he lives with his mom in like a cabin.
Yeah. That's fair.
I think that is true.
Sounds right.
That sounds right. So our main character is like, all right, now's the time to find out, and starts questioning Frank about Rebecca and making him as uncomfortable as humanly possible, which she had to do it. She had to do it to someone, and she found Frank alone.
Yeah. And he's just as awkward as she is.
Yeah. So she just starts asking a bunch of different questions and finds out that Rebecca had a boat, and the boat is what killed her. Apparently it capsized and sank and she was thrown overboard, but no one saw it happen. It was in the middle of the night, and she apparently went sailing in the storm, even though she is a well-known sailor who's done it her entire life. And apparently she couldn't swim in the cove and drowned. And I'm telling you right now, none of that makes sense.
I suppose that does sound suspicious when you put it that way.
How much do you love the boat's name?
It was I Return, right?
Yeah, I'm coming back or something like the exact translation. But yeah, it was like, yeah, I return.
Yeah, that's not ominous.
You're a ghost.
Yeah. Okay, wait, second theory. No, like 18th theory at this point. Rebecca, not dead. She needed to get away from Maxim, so she fake crashed her boat, swam ashore, is living her own beautiful life in Monte Carlo,
That is a theory.
and then comes back at the end of the year and it's like, I'm suing you for all you have because you tried to kill me.
Oh.
And then he's like, to the asylum with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my other theory.
So that's a good theory.
And that's why her room is still functional, is because she actually still lives there. So apparently they found her body 2 months after the accident with both of her arms ripped off.
Yeah,
And
that was very gruesome.
Yeah. And how
She would
would that
be-
happen?
Yeah, and how would Maxim actually like know that it
Identify
was
her?
her? Yeah, identify.
Yeah.
How would he identify her?
Yeah, they
I
said
have a mole on one of my butt cheeks. So Andrew would probably be like, oh, look. Yeah, it's Shanna. I can recognize her butt cheek.
I got a freckle
I
on the
guess
bottom of my
so.
foot, so
Yeah, there you go. I guess
I don't
it's
know.
more of a freckle than a mole.
it's a birthmark, you know.
Yeah, you know.
I know, it's just so weird because it's like, yeah, apparently her body was like super beat up and everything. And he was like, yeah, 100%, that's my wife. But
Well,
like,
she's been in the water for 2 months too. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I've seen CSI.
Yeah.
It doesn't look
So
good.
gross.
Yeah, there's no way he would know for sure that that's his wife.
2 months, there's got to be some fishies in there nibbling.
Yeah.
And also,
Yeah,
they
oh,
said
yeah.
they found her body naked.
Yeah, it's
Well-
her clothes got ripped off.
Yeah. Along
And
with
she's
her
tumbling
arms.
around
Maybe.
in the water.
But like,
It seems like a lot.
yeah, there's a lot of like very specific ways this would had to have happened. You know what I mean? Like, it's too much for me to believe it. And also that she was found 40 miles away. Like, I get that the water pushes you, but like, how did she never float up, if you know, catch my drift,
Yeah.
after 2 months?
Yeah, it is a little fishy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's weird that she would have gotten into a river. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like she would have gone out into the ocean more.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not really adding up.
Yeah. I don't know that much about dead bodies, but like, I don't know. I've read a lot of books. I've seen some true crime. I think
Yeah.
Maxim's the murderer. So Frank is talking really carefully about this death murder. And is being very suspicious. So I really think he knows what actually happened, and this is his little rehearsal. I don't trust this at all.
Yes, he was exceptionally awkward about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all looking at you, Shanna.
Yeah, right?
I have to look anywhere except for at you guys.
You're like, wow, this room is beautiful.
It's so good.
So Frank, the main character tells Frank that she knows that people are comparing her to Rebecca all the time. And he's like, I've literally never heard anyone say that, to be honest with you. And I think that was cute because, like, I do think most of this is in her head.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, like, no one really brings up Rebecca until she brings up Rebecca. Like, except Mrs. Danvers. But Mrs. Danvers is the worst.
Yeah.
And I guess if it's constantly on her mind because she lives in Rebecca's house
Yeah.
with Rebecca's stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I would have done a full remodel.
Mm-hmm.
I still fully support that.
Yeah.
So Frank says that she's a refreshing change and that if he ever heard a word of criticism, he would immediately ensure it was never said again. And like, go Frank. What a guy. What a guy.
Yep. That's a good one.
Yeah. And then he also says that her being there is helping everyone move towards the future, which I thought was really nice. It was a very nice compliment by Frank. But then she asks one final question that she never should have asked. It was like, did you think Rebecca was beautiful? He's like, yeah, she was the most beautiful person I've ever seen. Like, lie, Frank. Lie.
Yeah, she was all right.
Yeah.
She was all right. Come on.
I mean, some said she was beautiful. Like, it's something, please.
I mean, if you're into tall, dark, sculpted women with small feet and grace, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Who wears a ball gown like it's made for her, I guess. So then we are on to chapter 12. And our main character finally gets her own housemaid, and her name is Clarice, and she likes her a lot because she's never been trained before, and it works out better because she doesn't question our main character's every single thing, which is nice.
Oh, it was so sad when she felt so bad about her underwear.
Yeah.
And then when she gets a new maid, she decides not to order new ones. What? Still order the new stuff. Come on, you're very rich.
I know.
Yeah, get new underwear.
Do it. I saw that thing that, like, I don't know who did that study, but apparently you're supposed to get new underwear every 6 months. And I'm like, weird.
I read that as years. Whoops.
Yeah, whoops.
Right?
Strange. Anyways, put that on the back burner for a while. So everyone is still trying to stay to our tradition. And, as we said, main character will not put her foot down. But she goes into the morning room, and Beatrice had bought her books on the history of art, which I thought was nice. I think it's honestly a little misguided because, she tried, and that's what we can congratulate her for, because
yes,
Beatrice is the only person in this entire house that's trying to make our main character happy.
Yeah, and it was very, very sweet of her.
Mm-hmm. It really was. I was happy with that. And then our main character is like, oh, I hope Beatrice likes me. And I'm like, she does. She does. It's canon to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Mrs. Danvers apparently accused Robert. Oh, I didn't write it down because I thought it was insignificant. Context. Our main character broke a Cupid ornament when she was trying to put a vase or trying to put the books up, and then she stressfully just sweeps it up into an envelope and it's like puts it at the back of her desk, and it's like, it's fine, I'll deal with that later, I guess, and doesn't tell anyone about it because, like, one, it's hers now. Why would she need to tell anybody about it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And two, you broke something and you've only been in this house 3 days. I'm not going to go tell everyone about that.
No. Just clean it up and forget it happened.
Yeah. And so then Mrs. Danvers, who's the terrible person she is, accuses Robert of breaking or of stealing, I guess, the ornament because she notices that it's not there. Yeah.
Apparently there's ornaments all over this house. Like,
yeah.
What? Get a life.
If I had a little Cupid ornament, I would be like, oops. Oh, darn.
Yeah. Oh, well.
And then our
it's really ugly in my brain.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. I think it's tacky. I will not hear any sort of argument against that. I think it was 100% tacky. And I think she's like one of those people that definitely just had decorations for the sake of having a decoration, like Rebecca was, and just to show off her money. Like, have you ever been to like a rich person's house and they just don't seem to have any sense of taste, but all their stuff is like $10,000?
Oh yeah.
All of the rich people I know have excellent taste. It's upsetting.
Darn.
I just imagine that Rebecca didn't have any taste, and I don't want to hear anything to the contrary of that.
I feel like all signs point to excellent taste. Maybe this was a beautiful Cupid. I don't know.
I just want to imagine that it's like really bad taste, but it's rich people taste. So everyone's like, oh, she was such a great decorator. And then our main character's like, is it?
It just sounded like there was all these little glass figurines everywhere.
Yeah.
Which I hate. It's like my grandma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So like the Swarovski crystals.
Yeah, this is Swarovski.
Eh, so yeah, whatever it is. At our local mall, they have a display of them, except for the little figurines, and it's Darth Vader and C-3PO, and I'm like, I guess those are okay.
Yeah.
Do it.
Because Darth Vader's like $600.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Maybe
Don't do
no,
it. Don't
but-
do it.
Yeah, I just imagine that it's super tacky. But yeah, our main character thinks that Mrs. Danvers accused Robert so that our main character would have to come forward. And I can't tell if this is true or if she's worried over nothing.
It just can't be. There's just no
Yeah.
way.
I don't know.
She's just overthinking everything.
I hope so. But I can't tell how cynical, or not cynical, or how passive aggressive, I guess, Mrs. Danvers is. I can't tell.
Yeah, I mean, she is the worst, so
Maybe.
it is possible.
Yeah. So, main character finally owns up to the fact that she broke it, and Maxim gives her the hardest time about it.
But she should have done it like 1 minute sooner before she had to do it in front of both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least Frith just sounds like he doesn't care at all.
Yeah.
Danvers, oof.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why she didn't say anything. Like, I know why, because she's shy, but like, she really should have just been like, oh, actually, that was me, sorry. But also, it's my room, so I can redecorate it when I please. And if my redecorating is breaking things, then that's my business.
Right.
I guess the fact that they were both just going on and on about how expensive it was probably didn't help.
Yeah. I mean, if I was her, I would have like wide swept, thrown it all in the garbage, but and then realized how expensive they were later. So our main character is really just still struggling with the fact that she feels like a fraud, and she's like, I broke Rebecca's thing, not my thing, Rebecca's thing, because it is Rebecca's thing, because they won't let her to redecorate her office.
Yeah. She has this whole thing about imagining Rebecca getting it and how she felt opening it and all of this. And it's like, just thinking too much about that.
And then she gets in a fight with Maxim after all the servants leave, and it's like, I bet that you married me that so people would gossip. And he gets pissed. He's like, oh, so that's what you think I'm like. Which, Maxim, you've never said you loved her. Of course she thinks that's what you're like. What? So then he says that he thinks Manderley makes her unhappy and that he rushed her into marriage. And I was like, yeah, both of those things are correct.
True.
But then she goes on the offensive and quickly dismisses his worries. And I feel like he's gaslighting her. I really do. I feel like he's making her say that she's actually comfortable by getting mad at her. You know, like he said, gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss in this moment.
Yeah, this scene is the first time like really hard. Just how abusive this relationship actually is like obvious.
Yeah, it's truly astounding, to be honest. And she is like, aren't you happy? I'm happy. And he's like, if you're happy. Like, if you say it's so, then it's so.
But he also just said it wasn't so.
Yeah.
And it's obvious. So.
Yeah. I feel like all of the other instances, like, they could almost be explained away around, like, the situations, like being at the Cove or whatever. This one, there was no reason to be like that.
Yeah.
And he was still like that. It's not cool, Maxim.
Not at all. It is really toxic, my guy. Like, get therapy and stop dragging people into this problem with you.
Yeah.
So then we are on to chapter 13. Maxim leaves for London for 2 days, and our main character just fully imagines that he's dying. Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's really bad. And like, as someone with anxiety who's also done this, I know how bad that is.
I do this all the time. I
Yeah.
also like I take meds for it, right?
Yeah.
And oh god, as a mother, good lord. Anytime my children leave, I'm like, oh, this is the worst. I have to take 10 minutes of like just stressing out.
Yeah.
And she was like that obsessed with it. And that was when I was like, oh no, this lady is undiagnosed. She needs to go talk to a doctor.
Yeah.
There are some excellent meds that could help her with this.
Yeah.
But
Except for in 1938, it's probably just the good old asylum.
it's just cocaine.
And
Yeah.
lobotomies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, oh yeah, I also like that 100%. Anytime any family member leaves the house.
Yeah.
Or if they're like 1 minute past where I think they should be home.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I'm alone.
Forever. Yeah.
This is the end. Yeah.
I know I have my boyfriend's location now just so I can make sure that he arrives to destinations like well, and then I don't have to call him 15 times because I'm that way.
Yeah. It's love.
So this is love.
It's very stressful.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Robert calls to say that he arrived, or no, Robert has someone call to say that he arrived safely, but doesn't leave a message for his wife. And then because he is gone, she feels the most carefree she's felt in weeks. And I was like, well, that's not good.
No.
No, that's not a good sign.
Yeah. So then she decides the best way to spend her afternoon is by going back to the cove because Maxim's not there to stop her, which honestly, yeah, good choice because I would 100% do that too.
Yeah, I'd be there. Yep.
Yep. I'd be like, oh yeah, you're not here to stop me. I'm gonna go in the West Wing.
Yes.
I'm gonna touch the rose.
Touch the spindle. So they get to the cottage and Jasper is absolutely freaking out because of course she took the puppy with her. And turns out Ben is in the cottage for some reason.
Sure is.
Yeah. And then Ben utters the words, "I never told no one." And I'm like, what do you know, Ben?
And I'm surprised that she wasn't like, what do you know, Ben?
Right? She was just
Right.
like, oh, weird. Anyways. She looks into everything except that sentence. Like, she was just like, oh, that's weird that he also just, like, is here. I don't know who he's talking about when it's obviously he's talking about Rebecca. Now, my question is, did he A, see Maxim kill Rebecca? B, see Rebecca trying to leave Maxim? Or C, see someone covering up Rebecca's body? Those are my questions. Or D, was Rebecca cheating on Maxim? And he witnessed it.
Hmm.
Who can say?
Who can say? I like it though.
I could say, but I'm not gonna.
I appreciate you for really covering for us here. But apparently Rebecca had threatened to throw Ben into the asylum. And I was like, okay, rude, because I guess Ben looked into her windows, which that's creepy. And I get why Rebecca would be uncomfortable about it. But apparently we've already established that Ben is harmless. And what was Rebecca doing? Why did she go down to the boathouse so often? Did she have a secret lover?
Yeah, what is she doing in there that it's a problem that someone's looking in the windows?
If your house is so big that you have separate wings where you can be away from your husband, why do you need a boathouse?
A fully furnished boathouse.
With books that you don't care about because they're moldy.
I mean, I'd still have that probably.
I mean, we love a she shack, but, you know, when half of the house could be a she shack, I don't know.
It's true.
Yeah.
So our main character just gets absolutely freaked out about this entire interaction and runs sprinting away from the house, which, you know, another sign that she is a flight response, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
And then she comes home and sees a car, and she's like, oh, that's weird. And the car's like trying to be secretly hidden, but it's not. And she's like, huh, weird. And then looks up, and there's a random man in the West Wing.
Dun dun
Dun,
dun.
dun, dun.
And then Mrs. Danvers' hand comes out and shuts the shutter.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then she's like, that's weird. Maybe Danvers has a secret lover. And she's like, I guess I'll just go to the morning room. And then realizes that someone was using her morning room. And then realizes Mrs. Danvers used her morning room to entertain guests, as if there isn't like 18 other rooms in this house that they could have done that in.
It was a weird choice.
Yeah. Especially when you're trying to sneak around. So then Mrs. Danvers is trying to get this guy out. And it's like, hey, I will go make, like, Miss Danvers yells. In my head, she's yelling and says, like, let me go make sure she's not around, and then we will get you out of here so you don't have to see her. And then walks past the morning room and that she's hiding in, and he walks right in. Bad choice.
Yeah, she was acting pretty sus.
Pretty sus.
Gotta say.
Also, the dude's drunk, so there's that too.
I don't like this guy.
No, he's a tool.
It was weird though. She's like, oh, he's quite handsome. And then she describes him and I'm like, no, he sounds pretty ugly.
Yeah, he sounds disgusting, actually.
Yeah, like vile. Like totally no. So
and his whole attitude.
Yeah. And then as he's leaving, like, he keeps trying to like kidnap her, basically. And it's like, just come on a ride in my car. Like, no.
Right.
I'm not going to get in your van where you have candy. No.
No.
It's like one of those people who like says a bunch of awkward stuff, and then when you don't respond to it, like, oh, I'm just making a joke.
Yeah.
Were you?
Were you?
But she was like, oh, okay, I will come out to the van and look at your candy. That's okay.
Because I'm polite.
Yeah. It's like,
you just said you weren't going to call on your neighbors because they annoyed you. Why are you being polite now?
Yeah.
And you've seen his car.
Yeah. And then he also says not to mention this visit to Maxim. And she's like, I won't. And I'm like, wrong choice.
Yeah, I would be phoning him immediately.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's the most toxic man that she's trying not to upset. But, like, tell someone.
Also, like, this is a really good way to try to get rid of Mrs. Danvers. Hey, Mrs. Danvers has this dude coming to the house that he doesn't want you to know he's there. I don't know who he is. He's sneaking around your old bedroom.
Yeah.
It's weird.
He straight up says that you don't like him and wouldn't be happy that he was there.
Yeah. Why would you show up? I don't understand.
Yeah.
So then she makes the only logical decision she's made this entire book, and it's like, oh, I'm going to go figure out why they were in the West Wing. Which, like, yeah, girl, please do that. So then we are on to chapter 14. She goes up to the West Wing, and there is a room that's not completely covered in, like, dust sheets. And I'm like, that's weird. That's suspicious.
Yep. That's creepy.
Yeah. And we find out that someone was keeping Rebecca's room exactly as it was, with her night cover hanging over a chair as if waiting for her. And that's creepy.
Unwashed.
Yeah. At this point, like, Mrs. Danvers is truly just worshiping Rebecca. Like, she really is.
It's a shrine.
Yeah. It's terrifying. So as she's going through Rebecca's room, Mrs. Danvers shows up and she starts being like really fake sweet, which is very suspicious. And she's like bragging about Rebecca and how small her feet are and how thin she was and like how she had all these beautiful clothes and like needed a whole room just for her clothes. And that's how we find out that when she died, she also lost both her arms because, I don't know, I guess Mrs. Danvers doesn't hold anything back.
Well, it's just also kind of a weird detail for her to have.
Yeah. And then she also says like how she feels responsible for Rebecca's death because she was like, oh, it's weird that like Rebecca's not home yet and it's really late. And then she goes to tell Maxim and Maxim's like, don't worry about it. She always goes sailing. And Miss Danvers like, no, I don't think she'd go sailing in this weather. And then she goes down to the boathouse and sees the boat's not there anymore. Like after a while, because she like couldn't
5
sleep.
a.m. she goes down.
Yeah. Which, like, if Mrs. Danvers, who is her house like handmaid or whatever, thought that this was suspicious, wouldn't she be like, oh yeah, it probably is suspicious woman who spends every waking moment with my wife? Which this just made me trust Maxim even less. Like, we were already at 0, but then we got to like -2. So
it does sound like that was regular behavior for her, though.
I guess
to be down in the
I guess it's like enough that he can like write it off. But like with the weather being that bad, it's suspicious. And then Mrs. Danvers talks about how she's the only one allowed in the West Wing. She doesn't let any of the servants there. But then she like just throws a little fun tidbit in. Is like, hey, I feel like Rebecca's ghost is here, and sometimes I wonder if she like watches you and Maxim. Like
watches us what? You creep?
Weird.
Ugh.
Don't like that.
Why are you even thinking about anything?
Don't perceive our main character.
No. Gross.
So then she does a logical thing and goes into a room and locks the door and takes the key out so no one else can get in, which a mood. Like, as she should. That is a terrifying experience.
Yeah, it was quite scary.
Yeah. And then we are on to chapter 15. We are on to chapter 15. Maxim called to say he'd be back around 7, but still doesn't talk to his wife. And then Beatrice calls and it's like, hey, let's go see my grandmother. That'd be fun. Would it? No.
It's a bad idea.
Yeah. And then our main character feels like she's being watched by Mrs. Danvers, and she's just getting more and more paranoid as the longer she's at this house. So I was like, oh, maybe it'd be nice for her to get a little break and go out with Beatrice and have like a girls' day. Plot twist, it wasn't.
Yeah, no.
So Beatrice, as soon as she pulls in, notices that our main character looks exceptionally pale. Like, she is not looking good.
Yeah, Manderley is sucking the life out of her.
Yeah, it's not good. Like, she's gonna start looking like Mrs. Danvers.
That's probably what happened to Mrs. Danvers.
Yeah.
Manderlings need someone's life force to feed off of.
All right. Okay, no, Mrs. Danvers is Rebecca. This is what's happened to Rebecca.
Yeah. So Beatrice asks if they're trying for kids because she's like, you look so bad, you must be pregnant. And I'm like, okay.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. A little rude, Beatrice. But like, also Beatrice knew she was supposed to have a filter and threw it away when she got her car. Like, yeah. She's also an awful driver, which is just like a fun little tidbit I want to keep in the notes. And then our main character is like, hey, Beatrice, do you know someone named Jack Favell? And she's like, oh yeah, that's Rebecca's cousin, which makes this drastically weirder because how close do you have to be to your cousin?
That they're there after you're dead.
Yeah.
In your room with your maid.
Pretending to be best friends with your maid.
Yeah. Like, that's just weird. Lots of that I'm just not okay with, to be honest.
Yeah.
Whew.
So they get to the grandmother's house and she's not doing great and she's pretty much blind. She's definitely got like dementia or something. But they're just like, she's just old people disease. And I'm like, okay. And the grandmother seems to be pretty nice, but like Beatrice has to have like a shouting conversation. Like, I feel like when people are around old people, they just get louder for no reason.
Oh yeah.
So Beatrice mentions that like our main character is an artist, and she's like, yeah, I got her art books for a wedding gift. Haha. Like, wanting to be like praised for it. And the grandmother's like, if someone got me books for my wedding present, I'd be so mad I'd never read them. And Beatrice gets her own feelings hurt, which It'd be like that sometimes. So while they're eating sandwiches, our main character starts freaking out about mortality.
She is the type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you do. And then we get to the grandmother asking why Maxim didn't bring Rebecca, because she loves Rebecca, and she immediately forgot who the main character was, which sad. It's really sad.
Yeah, that sucks for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the nurse is basically like, okay, you guys gotta go. Like, this is not good. This is a bad look. It's time to leave, because she's not going to be in the right state of mind for a while. So everybody leaves. Beatrice continues to apologize. Our main character was like, please move on from this. I'm uncomfortable. And Beatrice is like, no, you know what? I have to let you go. I need to talk to my husband about this. Which
just like drops her off at the end of the driveway. Speeds off.
The longest driveway ever.
And like Beatrice still has to be like, this upset me, even though it was directed at you. Like, like, we love her, a little self-centered.
Oh yeah.
And then as our main character is coming back into the house, Maxim had apparently found out about Jack and is screaming at Mrs. Danvers.
Good.
Losing her mind. Losing his mind. Which, you know, as he should. Don't know how he found out. Maybe he's got surveillance tapes. Unknown.
Maybe.
And says that, you know, he says that Jack is never allowed back. Good luck.
Hit the road, Jack.
Yeah. And then when she comes in, he like acts like nothing happened, which is cute, which is suspicious. And he doesn't say that he missed her. And he doesn't say anything. And then the chapter ends.
Yeah, he's not a great husband.
No, he's definitely not.
No, I have to agree.
Yeah.
He's failing.
Yeah, tremendously. But yeah, that's all we got for this episode. I am very suspicious about many things.
You guys are forcing me to look into the future of the book.
We're making her look at the actual relationship. She's like, what? They're not in love?
What?
How did you guys know?
I would just prefer if they were.
Listen, I think we all would. But yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me on this episode. Where can all the listeners find your guys' podcast?
You guys can find us at best_book club everywhere, especially Instagram. That's where we are the most. Or you can send us an email at best_book club@outlook.com.
Where you can listen to our podcast on all of the normal places.
And it's delightful, so do that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And we will catch you guys in the next episode where, you know, Maxim might go to jail. Who knows? Anything could happen.
I think that the next episode is going to include my favorite chapter, or one of my favorite chapters, because it is just, y'all want to get punched in the gut? It's coming.
I'm ready.
Gut punches.
I'm ready to be thrown for a loop. If I find out this entire time he secretly loved her, I'll lose it. I'm going to love it. It's going to be great. I can't wait to be proven wrong or to be proven right. We don't know, but we will see. And we will catch you all later in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of the Barely Bookish podcast. Please be sure to check me out at Barely Bookish on literally every social media platform. I'm there. I'd love to chat, so please come hang out. I would love it. Also, if you want to get these episodes a little bit earlier, please consider checking out the Patreon. It goes towards, helping the show and, maintaining the way it is and all those good stuff. But yeah, please consider checking that out. Also, every single month, you'll get an exclusive episode. This month, we'll be talking about the Alfred Hitchcock version of Rebecca. So that'll be a fun one. Well, I guess in December is when it's going to come out, but that'll be a fun one. So please be sure to tune in to that. As well as you'll have the entire backlog. There is a lot of Patreon exclusive episodes, and you get, early access to every episode from here on out. So please consider checking that out. But no real big announcements for me. I hope anybody that's participating in NaNoWriMo this month is doing well and meeting those goals. Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Our logo was designed by my little sibling Sarah. Our theme song is by Raphael Crux. And I'll catch you all later. Bye!